In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, today we have with us Dr.Mesbah Moosavi, and our topic for today is the purpose or goal of creation, why this whole universe has been created, specifically why a human being is created, why we are here, where did we come from. So this is a fundamental question that comes to the minds of many intellectually oriented youth, especially those who live in the Western society, those of the Muslim youth who live in the Western society. And in general, this has been a very important question over the course of time. So today we will, of course it's a broad topic, so today we would briefly outline this topic, and we would like to know Dr. Mesbah's views on why this whole universe, why we have been created, what is the purpose and goals of creation. Dr. Mesbah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Thank you, Brother Sajid, for the question. So the question, as you mentioned, about is there any goal or purpose for creation? There are two schools of thought. One school, which is an atheist school, believes that there is no purpose, no goal, because there is no intellect who designed the universe. The universe has come into existence by accident, or let's say, according to some, by evolution. And so there was no intellect to design the whole universe. Because of this, so there's no goal, no purpose. And as a consequence of not believing in the purpose of life, these people, this type of people, have no justification, no digestion for any suffering or pain or any difficulties that they encounter in this life. And they are, dealing with meaninglessness, because universe, according to these people, have no meaning, no purpose. There is one atheist philosopher with the name of Schopenhauer. He said that it was a big mistake to be born in this life. And there are some others who follow up with his statement and say that lucky people are those who commit suicide, because this life has no meaning, no purpose, no goal. So what's the point to stay here? You want to stay another 10 years, 50 years, another 100 years? Then what? You have to go. And there's no point of staying in this life.
That sounds pretty desperate. So you're saying that these kinds of people, the first school of thought is those people who don't believe in God or who don't believe in religion.
These people do not believe in God, and that's the main point. And because they don't believe in God, they don't believe in design, intellectual design. Because they don't believe in the intellectual design, they don't believe in purpose or goal for creation. That's the consequence. And because they don't believe in meaningful existence, they don't see any point of living. And there is one author, one Iranian author, with the name of Sajid, who has written a number of books in Persian. He said that lucky people who commit suicide, and he himself committed suicide. He has a book with the name of Khodkoshi, or committing suicide. He mentions about a number of people who attempted suicide for a number of times, but they failed. And he mentioned even one person that I guess tried 13 times, and after 13 or 14 times, he could succeed in taking his own life.
I would see committing suicide, it's probably maybe a light comment, I would see the committing suicide as their sole purpose for their purposeless life.
Yes, because they see no meaning for this life. They say why we should stay. I remember just this author that I mentioned. He was living in Paris. He said that sometimes when I was standing in front of intersection, so many cars were passing. It just came across my mind, the first car that comes toward me, I will
jump in front of
the car and kill myself. Then he said, I thought now this is very difficult and painful death, so I have to think of other ways. So he tries himself maybe 8 or 9 times, and finally after 9 times he succeeded in killing himself. He said there was a cemetery close to our home in our neighborhood. What he Sajid says, this author. He said when I went to the cemetery, I looked at the gravesite. Looking, many people are dead, and there is no noise, very quiet, very peaceful. I said, oh my God, how lucky are these people? Why we should be torturing? He has written another book with the name of Zende Begur, Alive in Grave. He said that life is like being in a grave when you are living. There is no window, no light, no hope, and anxiety, fear. You cannot even take your life. That's the way that life is. So what are the roots of all this suffering and pain and depression and other, probably mental behavior or social behavior? Because they do not see any meaning or purpose for their life. That's one school of thought. On the other hand, we have another school of thought, those who believe in God. Those who believe that this life has come into existence by intellectual design. Those who believe that there's a creator who has created this world, this whole universe, for a specific goal and reason. These people, specifically when we talk about Islam and Muslims, and particularly about Quran, the whole universe has a specific reason and goal.
So what is that reason from a Quranic or Islamic point of view? Why has God created the whole universe?
Yeah, this is a very big question. First of all, in the number of verses in the Quran, the Holy Quran emphasizes that there is a goal. That's generally. It says, لَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاءَ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا لَاعِبِينَ. We have not been playing game when we have created the heaven or earth. Or in many other verses of Quran says, there was design, there was purpose, there was a goal. And all the Quran says creation was not batil, was not void, was not without meaning, without purpose. Now we come to your question. So what was this goal? What was this purpose of creation? Why God has created me? What did He want from me? There is one verse in the Quran, I guess it's in Surah Hud, probably chapter 11, maybe verse 119. Hopefully I don't make mistake. It says, إِلَّا مَنْ رَحْمَ رَبُّكَ وَلِذَلِكَ خَلَقَهُمْ. Except those who have been exposed to His mercy, and this is the philosophy of their creation. So according to this verse of Quran, the philosophy of our creation is to be exposed to God's mercy and love. We as Muslim or Muslims believe that the creator of the world is a compassionate and merciful Lord. This is why at every single chapter of Quran except one, we have this statement, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the compassionate and merciful. In number of verses of Quran, the Holy Quran emphasized God is merciful, God is merciful, God is merciful, God is Rahman, God is Rahim. And that's the basic principle of our belief, that God is merciful. And because of His mercy, He has created human being. This one hadith is very interesting that said that Even God's mercy to human being is much profound and deeper than mother toward her child. How much a mother loves her child? There's no limit, no condition. And now imagine God's love or mercy is much more profound and deeper than mother toward her child. So again we come back to your question, why God has created me? What was the goal? The goal was to expose me to His mercy, to His absolute blessing.
To reiterate, you're saying that Islam belongs to the second school of thought, where Islam believes that there is a purpose, God, there is a mastermind behind which we call God, who created all this universe. We have been brought here into this world by the will of God, and the purpose of being in this universe is to be exposed to God's mercy. But we do see, when I say this to any, say, young Muslim, he or she would think that there is still so much hardship. There is still so much hardship even in Islam, right? In rituals and religious obligations and all that. So if purpose of creation is to be exposed to God's mercy, then why so much hardship?
The hardship that is coming from obligations that we have in Islam and in all Abrahamic religions, for example, it is obligation to pray 5 times a day. It's obligation to fast in the month of Ramadan for the whole month, and in summer, beginning from the dawn to after sunset even. Yes, there are some difficulties in performing our obligation, our duties, but this is in line with the purpose of creation. There's one verse in the Quran which explicitly says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. God says, I haven't created human beings nor genies except to worship me. So they have been created to worship God.
So if we have been created to worship God, then does God need worship? Who benefits from worship? When I worship God, suppose I'm a Muslim and I worship God, who benefits from my worship? It's me who benefits, or it's God who benefits, it's society who benefits? Who benefits out of this? What's the purpose of this whole exercise?
Supposedly everyone can benefit except God, because God, according to Islam, is free of all the needs. There's one verse that the Quran says, لَإِنْ كَفَرَ, something, approximately, I remember the verse. لَإِنْ كَفَرَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلَإِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. If all of you, if all people of the earth deny God, stop worshiping God, have no communication with God, stop supplications, God is free of all the needs. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. Whether you worship God or you don't, you cannot help God, because God is not in need of a help. In our daily prayer, when we recite Surah Tawheed, chapter Tawheed, we say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. God is free of the needs. So if God is in need of my prayer, if God is in need of my fasting, then He cannot be God. Yes, there is one school of thought in Christian theology, even in philosophy. There's a philosophy called process philosophy, and the founder of this philosophy is Alfred North Whitehead. And then this his school of thought has been developed by Hartstrom later on. And if you check Google, or internet, there are hundreds of articles and books with regard to, maybe hundreds of articles and tens of books with regard to Alfred North Whitehead and Hartstrom, who try to say that God is benefiting from our worship. They say, for example, when none go to the church and start, supplicating and praying, so someone must benefit. So God is benefiting from all the worships. This is absolutely wrong. I myself have written an article criticizing this theology and this philosophy maybe around 15 years ago when I was in McGill University. I said, if God is in need of my worship, so what's the difference between God and His creatures? The most fundamental character distinguish God from His creatures is our need and His nature, if I can say, His nature of being free of all the needs. So for sure, God is not in need of my worship, and He is not going to take benefit of my worship. This is why in the Quran says, "In ahsantum ahsantum la anfusakum, wa in asa'tum falaha." Whether you do good things, whether you perform your duties, whether you do righteous deed, or you commit crimes or corruptions, you will be harmed. And in number of verses of Quran says that Prophet says, whatever I, Prophet, ask you to do is for your own personal benefits. So why God has imposed to human beings to worship and to fast and to prayer, that's because of the necessity of this kind of worship for our elevation and spiritual evolution and spiritual revolution. If God is going to expose us to His mercy, this is not something by force. We are not an object that God is going to take this object, this stone, and put it in heaven. No. We are human beings. We are rational beings. We have choice. God has created us so we make our way and pave our path to God. This is my right path. You must follow it. So,
can I say that from a layman perspective, can I say that God's mercy, or in Arabic we say hidayah, or guidance to the right path, or rahmat, is something precious that God will not force upon anyone, and this is something that we or a human being needs to work his or her way to get. Will that be a correct statement?
Exactly. If I I want to make an analogy, probably if you just want to give an example, we have sun, and sun is generous enough to sunshine everywhere and give the light and shed the light and energy for anyone who exposes him or herself to sun. It is not the responsibility of sun to come to my basement through the concrete and make a hole and reach me. No, sun is there. It is my responsibility to open the door, open the gate, open the curtain, go to the sun, take bath, just have sunshine. We have to expose ourselves to the sun. So sun does not have limitation to give any energy or light to others. It is the responsibility of others to expose themselves. When we do prayer, when we do any righteous deed, all obligations, not just only about prayer. We have obligations to be good to each other. It's obligation to be kind to each other. It's obligation to forgive each other. It is our obligation not to gossip, not to tell lie, to be honest, to be treat each one with justice and fairness. So we have many, many obligations, not only prayer and fasting. So we say, okay, why God has imposed to us? God has imposed to us also not to do corruption, not to insult anyone, not to hurt anyone, not to oppress anyone. We have many obligations. Each one is either directly or indirectly is to make people benefit from their righteous deed. Yes, some part of this righteous deed is about fasting and prayer. And anyway, when we are doing righteous deed or doing amal salih, those that believe and do righteous deed. When we do righteous deed, when we do good things, when we pray, when we fast, when we do charity, in all these cases, it's like we preparing ourselves for elevation, to go higher. So when spiritually, yeah. For example, when we do prayer, we say, I pray qurbatan ilallah, to approximate myself to God. It is not physical approximation to God, because God is not an object. God is not a corporeal being. God is beyond materialistic world. Okay? So approximation to God means I elevate myself, bring to the point that I can get more sun, more light, more energy. Again, I want to emphasize, when we pray, when we fast, we are preparing ourselves to get more energy, more light from God. Because as much as we are attached to the materialistic world, as much as we are attached, we are from God, far from God. As much as we can do our effort to fight with some of our desires and to think of spirituality, and we detach ourselves from the objective world, from secular life, we can approximate ourselves and elevate ourselves to the spiritual life and to the point where we can reach more energy, more spirituality from God.
And we start to see more meaning in our good deeds. We don't, if I understand correctly, what you're saying is that if we believe in the purpose of creation, then whatever good we do to ourselves in the form of prayer, in the form of worship, in the form of abstaining from all sins, or in the form of good deeds to others, we don't expect reward from material things or other human beings. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. When we do anything, we hope to get reward from God.
So, by believing in the purpose of creation, we become more selfless, more spiritually elevated.
That's right. Yes.
So now, I would like you to give a little touch. There is another school of thought. I would say school of thought because it's been developed in the 20th century, the Darwinian school of thought, the Darwinian theory of evolution. So what is, very briefly, because we're short of time, very brief, what is your point of view on that from an Islamic point of view?
Yeah. In Darwinism, they try to say that there is no design, no plan for creation, and this evolution was the cause of all the existence of the world in this shape that we can see it. But first of all, when we talk about evolution, Darwinism, first of all, there are scientists who could find flaws on the theory. So it's not has not proven 100%. There are many scholars and scientists who found flaws on the theory. That's the first point. The second point, even if we believe that Darwinian theory is 100% right, I do believe that there is no contradiction between God's existence and design and plan with evolution. Because when we say this world, for example, has taken so long to come to this point, it means that the creator of the world had too much intellect to be able to design it. For example, if there's a ball that I want to put it in the in soccer, for example.
Yeah, in the goal or.
Yeah, if I have whatever is on further, and I can plan to go to put it to the direction I want it, it means that I'm more powerful, more experienced.
Yeah, you need to be more precise. You need to be more skilled if you want to put it into goalposts from a longer distance.
So if God from long time, thousands of years, millions of years, has planned to have such a world, so it means that this design is very precise, that even from very, very far, millions of years could come into this state and this situation. So in brief, I want to say, even if we accept the theory which has been proposed by Darwin, still this does not contradict that life has come into existence by design and purpose and goal.
So you're saying, by saying that, you're saying that we are not you're not declaring that you are accepting Darwinian theory per se, but supposedly, if you accept this theory as such, even then you would probably say that the best statement to make would be that it was designed to be so.
That's right.
It was the Creator who actually designed evolution itself. Even if it's evolution from a purist point of view, a Darwinian purist point of view, if it is that kind of evolution, even then the Creator, the mastermind, is behind that. And it's a kind of controlled evolution. It was destined to be that way. So the purpose or objective of evolution was the creation of man, for instance.
Exactly. And now if you, let me go back to the first point that we talked, because about Darwin we are going to make another video later on, hopefully. But when we talk about the purpose of creation, that we said God has created us to expose us to His mercy. You may ask so why God has created death? If God is merciful, why are you taking us from this life? No mother who loves her child is approving her death. So if God is compassionate and merciful, why He has approved our death and departure from this life? The answer for this question, and to prove that God is merciful and everything is in line with His mercy, is that to say that because this life does not have capacity for absolute pleasure, every joy in this life has expiry date. In few moments, in a few hours, in a few days, in a few months, in a few years, it will fade away, will be gone.
So basically, you said that by believing in that, we inevitably believe in the life after death.
Yes. So there must be another life which has capacity for absolute pleasure. If God has created human being to expose human beings for His absolute pleasure or for absolute mercy, this life does not have capacity for this. That's why we have to depart from this world. We have to go to another life with new structure. When the Holy Quran says, يَوْمَ تُبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضُ يَوْمَ تُبَدَّلُ السَّمَاءُ تُبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضُ غَيْرَ الْأَرْضِ, something like this. When the earth and heaven is going to be changed, and human being will be constructed in a new life with new structure. So we will be in another life, and that's part of the continuation of God's mercy. If we say God's mercy, it doesn't make sense that we say that this life is going to end here and there will be nothing after this life. So we have to go to another life, but in another life after our death, we are going to collect the fruits of our action or behavior in this life. If I want to put it in another word, I want to say God is our creator, but He made us to be creator of heaven and hell. So we, with our hands, create hell or heaven by doing righteous deed, by being fair and just to everyone, by being kind, by observing human rights, by helping other people, helping society, worshiping God. We create heaven for ourselves. And on the other hand, those who murder, those who commit crime without repenting to God, then doing corruptions, have no connection with the Lord, then they create otherwise. Because Either you are close to the sun, you get all the energy and light. If you are not close to the sun, if you block yourself and prevent yourself from sunshine, then all diseases, all darkness comes. There is no alternative. Either sunshine or darkness. Either God or God, and mean all the pleasure, all the light, all the joy that you can have in heaven because of our proximity to God. Or if we disconnect from our Lord, then means that we are disconnecting from the source of all energy and light, and then we end up in hell.
I hope this gives our audience a conviction and assurance that by believing in this purpose of creation and the concept of the life after death, it also gives us hope that whosoever is disadvantaged, whosoever has not enjoyed this life as much because of the circumstances and everything, but who has not obscured him or herself from the light, from the spiritual elevation, would be more than compensated. Thank you very much, Dr. Mesbah, for your thoughtful explanation of this topic. And I thank all of our viewers for being present with us. Inshallah, we will be back with another topic. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.